We are but hours away from the 2025 Royal Rumble, and I've given you my predictions already on the channel. You can check those out, but do you know who is more important than me? That would be you. You've sent me your predictions. Let's see what you think. And we start with Jessica. Jessica, thank you very much. And her surprises for the Royal Rumble this year would be Matt Cardona, Joe Hendry, AJ Lee, maybe Aleister Black, contracts allowing. I do love the amount of these that I got where people are like, depending on contracts, I do enjoy it. And I'm happy you sent this to me. But we could just go... You could just say anyone in it. Kenny Omega, if his contract is good to go. I just love this. What I love about the Royal Rumble. People get so excited about it. Now, Matt Cardona, I'm hoping so. He is in Indianapolis for the WrestleCon that they're doing. Joe Hendry, I think, is a definite. Aleister Black, I think, is a no. And I'm umming and ahhing on Cardona and AJ Lee. CM Punk also teased AJ Lee the other day, but he can't lose, right? I do believe that's his wife, so he can have a bit more fun with it. The winners you had down as CM Punk and Charlotte. That's who I've got as well. Desperate for it to be Io Sky, but my prediction would be Charlotte. Yeah, I feel kind of similar, although I do like the idea of Charlotte winning. I wanted to come back and be a super duper mega heel, and a good way to get that over is winning the Royal Rumble. I also asked for your predictions for who's going to be 1 and 2 in each Rumble, because that is an exciting thing, and maybe we don't talk about it enough. Really like what you've done here, Jessica. Io Sky and Jordynne Grace. I do think Jordynne Grace will be in the Rumble. Is it even a surprise? I don't know, but she has signed with WWE, which is very exciting. And for the men, she had Sami Zayn and KO, just have them continue their internal war. I mean, that would be interesting if it was Kevin Owens, because I do believe... I don't think your main event with the world title match, I think it will be one of the Royal Rumbles. And that would mean Kevin has just lost and he puts himself in the Royal Rumble. But there are worse things to do, right? And it would be exciting and it would be a surprise, even though Kevin Owens wouldn't be a surprise entrant, really. It's actually quite smart. I think Sami Zayn being at number 1 would be cool, especially if he did make it way all the way to the final 4. My gut is telling me Kevin Owens isn't going to be in it, but I would love to be wrong. Moving on to JJ, who has listed them all out here. Surprises, I have Joe Hendry, Aleister Black, Masa Slamovich, and Victoria. Victoria's a good one, because she was on Raw the other day. I don't think she'll be in it, because I don't think there's enough spots. I don't believe she's coming back for our mini run, as they say. I think Nikki Bella is a good shout. We didn't mention her, and I think someone else has got that as well. Masha Slamovich would be a really, really good one, because then you're tying into that TNA connection. I think she's doing stuff in NXT right now. I get confused who goes and who doesn't. And the winners are interesting. John Cena and Io Sky, which I haven't heard from anybody, or at least we haven't chatted about it. And the 1s and 2s, stupid way to put it, Carmella Hayes and Andrade, which would be okay. I mean, they do have history, right? So that does make sense. And then Lyra Valkyria and Jordynne Grace, and they could just wrestle and do a good wrestling match. So all of them do make sense to me. Again, Joe Hendry, I think yes. Aleister Black, I think no. Masha Slamovich, I'm going to go with no. And Victoria, I'm going to go with no. Don't think John Cena or Io Sky is winning. And while I do like the Carmella Hayes Andrade thing, that US title, best of 7, not best of 7, it was okay. I mean, the matches were really good, but looking at it now, it didn't really achieve anything, so I don't think that would get the desired reaction. Would be fine with Lyra versus Jordynne. I just think if you're going to... Why call her Jordynne? It's because the way she spelt it, Jordynne Grace. I just think if Jordynne Grace is going to be... Well, she should be number 2. Well, she could be number 1. You need somebody in there that's really going to make you go, oh my gosh. I would just put Charlotte out there. Put Charlotte out there. Put Jordynne Grace out there. Then they can just look at each other for 2 minutes. When, of course, Becky Lynch comes in at number 3. Jeff Westlake says first and second is Carmelo and Trick Williams. So you call him Trip Williams, like he's going to fall over his own feet. Don't mind that at all. In fact, I'd really like it. And, of course, it's going to be somewhat of a hardcore crowd. 65,000, I think they've sold, which is crazy for a Royal Rumble. And then you put it, maybe I stole this from you by accident. Charlotte Flair and Jordynne Grace is 1 and 2 in the women's. I think there's something to that. You get people going, oh my gosh. And it's a double surprise, really, even though we know Charlotte's going to be in it. And then for the surprises, Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, Matt Cardona, All-State Black. I don't know who that's meant to be. An Oscar return. Oscar I'm putting up there almost 100%. I think that's probably meant to be Aleister Black. All-State Black. I can tell you, guaranteed, All-State Black is not in the Royal Rumble. I talked to him. He's not interested because he's fictitious. CM Punk and Roxanne Perez. Now, I've talked about this for years. One day, I think WWE should take someone like a Roxanne Perez and just have them win the Royal Rumble. I guess it would kind of be like what we did with Sheamus in 2011 or 2012. But he was already a world champion by that point. Just people were surprised that he did win. I would take someone that's about to get the mega push. Dolph Ziggler would be a good one. I mean, would he be Dolph Ziggler? Would he be Nick Nemeth? That's the only issue here. Which one would he be? But I do think he'd get a really good pop, and I think that would be a nice way. But he's just going to get thrown over the top rope. I don't know Nick Nemeth. He's probably done being jobbed out in WWE. Barely watching wrestling knows how to get into one of these lists. He put Repo Man. I wish, because of course I'm always manifesting Repo Man, and we should do it together. I'm glad about your surprises, though, Barely. That's not your real name, obviously. Randy Orton, of course he's going to be in the Rumble. We haven't talked about it enough, maybe because we just assume he will be. But the one that I'm really hoping I have egg on my face over is AJ Styles, because I wanted AJ to come back so much. I went with a no because I didn't want to disappoint myself. And then literally later that day, there were rumors going, oh, WWE thinks AJ Styles is going to be cleared for the Rumble. Good. I'd be wrong on that one till the cows come home. I missed that man. You have AJ Lee, you have Jade Cargill, you have Trish Stratus, and you have Becky Lynch. Dude, I'm telling you, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think you could pull off home runs all over the place there. I think there's some really good shouts. Trish Stratus is also a name that has been banded around, which is interesting. To me, Becky Lynch 100% should be in it, and I hope she takes out Lyra Valkyria or Chelsea Green, but I presume it would be an Intercontinental title thing. But yeah, it's a good list. The winners as well, torn between John Cena and CM Punk. That means WWE has done their job when you're leaning towards Punk. On the women's side, Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair, barely watching wrestling, or BWW as I shall call you. We are on the same page. You've gone for the final two as well, as opposed for the 1 and 2, which I also enjoy, and you want Punk, Cena, Lynch, Flair. All of that makes sense, and if I was booking the Royal Rumble, that's what I would do, which actually doesn't really look good on you, my friend, because I'm an idiot. Mark Whalen says, surprises I expect, just meaning people not announced. I know where you're coming from. Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Joe Hendry, Trick Williams, and Obafemi. I don't want Obafemi in the Rumble because I'm such a fan of Obafemi. If he enters it, I want him to win. Everybody else should lose. I don't want to see Obafemi on the main roster until he's going to smash everyone and win a world championship. I'm not even joking. People go, oh, it's too soon. Ain't too soon. Not for an Obafemi. I'd still be excited if he was there. Trick Williams, I think, is an easy slam dunk because he's going to get over effortlessly. Joe Hendry, absolutely. This Alexa Bliss thing, there's all this contract talks out there. Either WWE is working us like pros and more power to them, that is the gig, or I don't think she's going to be there. Ultimately, I just want her to be healthy and happy. And yeah, the other three, I think Jade will be in it. I think we are going to do the Naomi Bianca stuff, and it's quite exciting. Winners, Becky Lynch and John Cena. I think I wouldn't mind it. I'd love it. You get a lot of backlash if Becky Lynch wins. And the 1 and 2 entrants, Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. That's a really good one. And Jey Uso and Logan Paul. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, Mark. I know Logan. Just put Logan Paul in at 13, and then you can toss him out before entrant number 15 there. Andrew Bowden is going for Goldberg and Becky Lynch. I think you may be onto something. That's my phrase for this video. When it comes to Goldberg, because he was definitely at one point going to be on that Atlanta show. There was way too many people talking about it. And the only reason I can think he did get pulled is maybe he got injured, which I hope isn't true. But from a positive point of view, someone went, why don't we just put him in the Rumble? So I think he could be in the Rumble. I think it'd be pretty cool. Winner CM Punk and Charlotte Flair. Yep, you and me both. And first and second for the men, you've had Penta and Rey Mysterio. That's a good shout, especially because Penta apparently is figured into something big at WrestleMania. So maybe you do the Rey Mysterio match, the passing of the torch in many ways. And listen, Rey Mysterio is probably going to wrestle until he's 74, but wrestling is so nuts that you never know. So why stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne? To use my favorite catchphrase or my favorite quote, let's just get it done. Who doesn't want to see Penta versus Rey at WrestleMania? Imagine I told you that 5 years whenever they were wrestling on the indie scene. You would have punched me in the face, rightfully so. And that's probably going to happen. Joel the expert. So of course we have to listen to you, Joel. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're not paying attention. The men's winner, my gosh, you've gone big, is Roman Waynes, his cousin, his extra, how many cousins does he have? And then Cena wins the chamber match. We're predicting the Elimination Chamber. I like it. Very, very forward thinking of you. The women's is Charlotte and takes on Tiffany. And the final 5 men in the Rumble, screw the final 4, we're doing 5, is Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk, Seth Rollins and Jacob for 2. Jacob is first and Bron Breakker is second. It must have been yours that I saw. It must have been, unless somebody else has written it. But I was like, how the hell have I not pitched that as an idea? That's great. We had that stare down a few months ago. You know they're going to be on a collision course at one point. I think both of them are going to be holding the mid-tier titles for most of 2025, which is a good plan. I mean, I don't agree with your Roman Reigns thing at all, but I appreciate, of course, he could win. It's flipping Roman Reigns. If you put money on it, I totally understand. But as for the rest of it, I think you're onto something. Dan, human Tetris wizard, so you better be really good at Tetris and be able to do wizardry magic skills. Otherwise, I'm going to be super disappointed. You've also gone for Aleister Black and Goldberg. I don't think Aleister or Malachi Black's contract is good until late February, although that's what we all said before, right? He can't turn up on AEW, and what did he do? He actually does have magic powers. And women's AJ Lee and Britt Baker. You're not having Britt Baker. You have Written Dreaming. She had a contract for a long time. There's going to have to be some shenanigans for that to go down. And the winners will be CM Punk eliminating Roman Reigns. I can see that for sure. And Charlotte Flair eliminating Britt Baker. We're putting the Britt Baker one to bed. I haven't read all of these. I just got to skim them. If anybody else has suggested Britt Baker, we're bleeping it out. Britt Baker is not going to be in the Rumble. This is a problem now because you're going to be able to clip this on Monday and go, Simon, you're a moron. But I am confident. I mean, you'd have to break somebody's contract, and then you're going to get sued. Mike, he didn't want to muck around. He had two things that he wanted to say. AJ Lee returns, the biggest pop of the night. Punk and Becky win. Why the flub not? The AJ Lee thing would be massive, and I can't believe she just comes back to one night only. So she would have to have a match at WrestleMania, and who the flub would that be? Maybe it would be a Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee for the Intercontinental title. That's what I want. And now you're screaming, but Simon, those belts are meant for the young up-and-coming wrestlers. Yeah, I can think two things all at once and be a little bit of a hypocrite. I just never thought I'd see it in my life. I also think she would be like the prettiest girl at the ball. I think you'd have the entire women's roster, probably some of the men's roster going, I'd like to take on AJ Lee, because the anticipation to that would be through the roof. I'm not against it at all. And I actually think, and I say this somewhat trepidatiously in case I regret it, but if someone said, Simon, you can only have one surprise. We're only going to do one surprise this Royal Rumble. I think most people would go for AJ Lee. Like I said, I think I'm one of them. Double M Nikki W, which sounds like a rap song that I'm going to write, says last two for the men's will be Sami Zayn and Roman, which actually is a really good idea, but I don't think they'll do it at the end. With Sami winning somehow, Kevin Owens beats Cody and Sami versus KO at Mania. I have seen that idea before. I just can't see WWE doing that for a world championship at WrestleMania with all the other things that are going on. But my gosh, I'd love to be wrong. I'd be super happy. Grace wins the Women's Rumble and do Jordan Grace versus Rhea at Mania. That's a decent idea. Actually, fair play to you. I can get behind that. CM Punk versus Gunther at Mania. Shinsuke versus Jay for the US title at Mania. I can't see that one. And Sheamus versus Steiner Iron Man match at Mania for the IC. Listen, I appreciate the input. I really, really do. And you're always very nice on the internet as well, which again, I massively appreciate. But the last thing I want to see Sheamus and you've written Steiner, Bron Breakker obviously, and Bron Breakker do is have an Iron Man match. And that's just 10 minutes. I don't need those guys to go longer than 12 max. I just want them to pummel each other, run out of breath, and then you either get the spear or the bro kick, 1, 2, 3. Although I do think Sheamus will win the IC title at Mania, and it'll be a lovely moment. Jack has got it all listed out, which is good for my eyes. I appreciate it. Surprises, AJ Lee, Gail Kim, very interesting. Would be huge. I'd love to see it. Nikki Bella, great shout. Jordan Grace, there she is. Joe Hendry and Pat McAfee. I don't want to see Pat McAfee in this year's Rumble. I just feel like we've done that even if it's years ago, it feels too recent to me. I think sometimes you want to rest those ideas and come back to it later. The winners, Io Sky and CM Punk. A few people are leaning towards Io. And the 1 and 2 entrants are Charlotte and Becky and Pat and Chad Gable. Chad Gable could whip his ass. I did, in my predictions, I think go for 1 and 2 with Charlotte and Becky because I was doing Reddit booking. And that is the best way if you really want to get people pumped, especially if we're doing the Women's Rumble first and the Men's Rumble last. A great way to hook people in is to go, here's Charlotte Flair, she's back. Oh, here's your first surprise, it's Becky Lynch. They're two other people. They can just look at each other. They don't have to do anything. And then you put Jordan Grace in at 3. I think that's the second time I've said that. It's just what we should do. Tap Boy Grimm. It's probably offensive in some ways. Surprises I expect. So he's going out on the lie here. Jordan Grace, I mean, yeah, I think we've all got that one down. Now, Joe Hendry also went for Masha Slamovich, Matt Cardona, at least one of the Hardys, and Brock Lesnar. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar for reasons we already talked about. I think that whole thing needs to play out before we make any decisions. I think if you could get Jeff Hardy in the problem with putting Jeff Hardy in the Rumble is the same thing. You're going to send that WWE fan base mad. It's the same with Matt Hardy, right? The Hardys are so over wherever they go, especially in WWE, which is their quote-unquote home. They would have to have something planned for WrestleMania. I don't think there's the room right now. Winner CM Punk and Charlotte, you're a man after my own heart. And first and second, Sami Zayn and John Cena. That's a very good one. And Io Sky and Bayley. Dude, that's a home run. That's really, really good, especially given the tease we did on Raw. Tap Boy Grimm, you deserve a prize. Also, because he ended it with, I don't know, lol. It's how I feel every day. Frederick Papance, greatest name I've ever heard in my life. This is spoiler, right? Spoiler territory. Surprise repo, winner repo, out first repo. You're the best. And as you can see, that heart is red because somebody liked it and it was me. Brian just wants to give you a take, a hot take, a cold take. We don't know. The Women's Royal Rumble winner is ... Jordan Grace. Ryan, I really do appreciate how you introduce suspense to your post. I thought you were going to write something like, I don't know, what would be terrifying? Ultimate Warrior. How did he win the Royal Rumble? It kind of reads like a horror story. It could be Jordan Grace. I think WWE is going to get... No, they will get behind her like crazy. But given that Charlotte's coming back, I can see them sort of still saying Charlotte's one of ours and Jordan Grace will be one of theirs within a few weeks because she's going to be so damn good. I want to make it clear, though. If you did allow Jordan Grace to win the Rumble, that would be excellent booking and I would be a happy man. So there you go. We have kind of ticked all the boxes there. And the reason I kind of stuck to it for those guys is I did go through about 400 of these, so I do appreciate the feedback. And they were all pretty similar. And I guess the surprise of the that kept coming up was Jeff Hardy. Loads of people want Jeff Hardy, and I think AJ Lee would be the other one. And again, if we were going to break it down into ratios, just off my sort of tiny community and my tiny platform, most of the people in the men's would love to see Jeff Hardy. Obviously, again, he has mad star power, and most people want to see AJ Lee because it has been, 10 years, I would guess, maybe a bit longer, since we last saw her, and she was in the women's era of WWE, where it was a bit crap from time to time because they weren't treating the women right at all. She was way ahead of her time, so I guess like CM Punk in many ways. For her to come back and finally finish that story, to use the Cody Rhodes term, and work with all these people that are so brilliant right now, and you could have programs for her for however long she wants to be in the company. Even do something with Jordynne Grace would be awesome. But a Charlotte Flair and a Becky Lynch who were kind of there around the same time. You could revisit the Nikki Bella stuff. They've got history. And then imagine doing anything with a Tiffany Stratton or Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley versus AJ Lee writes itself. It would be wonderful. I'm just going to stop there because I could just keep giving you names. Even if you did a Sonya Deville versus AJ Lee, I mean, how are we doing this? It would be so damn interesting. But I do appreciate all your feedback. I do appreciate all your predictions. If you've got any more bold ones, not the obvious ones, if you have bold ones, put them in a comment, because if you do get it right, I'll see it. A bunch of other people will see it. You can walk around going, I told you so. And nobody likes that guy unless you are that guy. It's time to be that guy. Also, please do interact with the video as much as possible. You can go to gorillamined.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off all these fitness supplements. And they just relaunched Nitric 2.0, the best pre-stim, non-stim, pre-workout, get my words right, you can possibly buy. And I stand by that. You can shoot me in the head. Come follow me on all social media at Simon J. Miller. Come buy a tee at ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. Come find me on TikTok, putting a load of videos up there. Finally, we have got down to that. Otherwise, enjoy the Raw list of Rumbles. We'll be back throughout the week to talk about it because it is one of the biggest events of the year, and I'm super duper pumped. Take care, my friends. See you soon.